You can pass more than one value into a function using multiple arguments. To add other arguments, enter the arguments between the parentheses after the function keyword, separating them by commas. This is an example of a function that takes multiple arguments. Argument 1, comma, argument 2. Let's do an example where we use multiple arguments in a function. We'll start with a really simple math one because that makes a lot of sense. Let's do a function to multiply two numbers. So I would say function, and I'm going to name it multiply because that makes sense. You could name it multiply two numbers. The name really doesn't matter. I'm just choosing a name that makes the most sense for what I'm doing. And then I'm going to multiply A times B. I'm going to do this one in the console as well. Console.log A times B. So that's the full function. It'll multiply whatever numbers are passed into A and B, multiply the values of it, and print them out to the console. Now whenever I make a function, I have to call the function. So I'm going to call the multiply function with two numbers. I'm going to put two values in there. So multiply, and I'm going to do 4 times 2. And I'm going to save this. And then I'm going to make sure I have Control-Shift-J. And in my console, I will see a number 8 because what I asked it to multiply was 4 times 2. Let's try another one, about 10 times 2. Save it, refresh it, and I should get 20 because that's the math that I told it to do. So let's create another one. Let's do just another quick math one. I'm going to make a function and I'm going to comment out the multiply. Let's make a function to subtract two numbers, or subtract, let's do division, to divide one number by another. So function divide, and we will take in, let's do C and D. Doesn't really matter what we name them. And then we will divide C by D. So it's important that we do that in the right order. We'll do console.log, and we will do C divided by D. After I make sure to call the divide function with two numbers. So to call that function, I'm going to say divide, and I will give it two numbers. So 105. I'll save it, and I will refresh it, and I will get 20. Let's try a different one. Let's do 100 divided by 15. Save it and refresh. 6.666666667. It's an uneven number. Now both of those functions are still in here, and I didn't comment the other one out. So I could call this divide, and then I could still call that multiply function because it still exists, and do 35 and 2. And I should see, when I refresh the line, the first answer and then the second answer. So that's giving me the answer from the first function call that I did, which was to the divide function. And this one's giving me the second answer, which was the multiply function, 35 by 2. Let's try creating, I'm just going to pull these calls out of here. Actually, I'll just comment them out. Just get rid of those calls for a second. Let's create another function, but let's make another drawing one. Let's make a function that lets you choose what kind of drawing you want it to draw and how many times. So you'll actually input a string to make it draw something. I'm going to use a different kind of commenting block this time. It is the / and then a star. And then to end that, I do a star and then the / again. Everything in between these two lines will be commented. So this one's just going to be at multiple lines of commenting. Just a different way for you to comment when you have a big chunk of code that needs to be commented out. Function to draw different kinds of drawings a different number of times. So this function I'm going to call draw multiple, because I can draw a multiple of anything. And I'm going to take 2 arguments into it. The first one is going to be the number of times that I want the image to be drawn. Number of times. Notice how I capitalize the O and the T. If you don't do that, you need to make sure you follow that all the way through. And then the second argument is going to be drawing, and that will be the string image that I will send in for the drawing that I want it to display. So I'm going to draw the indicated drawing, the number of times stated. And I'm going to use a for loop for that because that makes the most sense. So I'm going to say for var equals 0 to get it set up. And I want to do this while that I is less than the number of times that I want to draw it, and I plus plus, so that it adds each time it goes through. For each time it goes through the loop, I'm going to say console.log, and I'm going to keep track of the number of times it goes through. I like to put that I in here just when we're learning so you can see how many times it's actually going through and verify that that I is starting at 0 and then counting the amount of times that you've stated. So I'm going to do like 3 spaces and then plus and whatever drawing they pass in. It just leaves some spaces between the number and the drawing, otherwise the number shows up right next to the picture. So that is our function to create multiple drawings. We can draw anything we want any number of times. So to call this function, it's pretty cool. I'm going to say draw multiple, and I'm going to pass the 2 arguments in. So, for example, I could put 10, and then I could do the fish again, which would be the, in between quotes, I would do the greater than, less than, 3 of the starter square brackets, a star, and a greater than. And if I save this and run it, it's going to run those 10, so 0 through 9 of those fish. The cool thing about this program is that I can make it draw anything I want. So I did that first draw multiple, I can change this. I could add another drawing. I'm just going to do another call to it. Draw multiple. And I'm going to do 7 of this little kitty cat. So I'm going to do an equal sign and the little up caret, which is the shift, and the 6, a period. Another one of those, that's the kitty cat's little ears or eyes, depending on how you're looking at it. And there's that call. So I'm going to save it. And you can make whatever picture you want. And I'm going to refresh, and you'll see, because I called it twice, it's doing that first call to do those 10 fish, and here are the 7 little kitty cats. You could do, let's add another one in here. Maybe you want to do 50 of this face, because you're like, Mrs. Shagum, why are you making me do this so many times? Let's put a little underscore right there. We go. Oh yeah, now he looks mad. There you go. That's how you're feeling towards me right now. Let's save that and refresh it. And there's 50. I love it. 50 of those annoyed faces.